gentlemen. I'm Colonel Shakti Rana. I head the personnel security, not the personal part, the personnel part of security, crisis management, and business continuity at Nokia. I've been working with Nokia for the last 16 years in various capacities. And before that, I was in the Indian Army. And I served in the Army for about 21 years. Most of the time, it was in J&K, counter-insurgency, and so it gives me exposure of all the possible threats which one can anticipate on the borders as well as in the country, inside the country. Coming to today's topic, which is quite, I would say, interesting topic, which BW has selected. Basically, the strategy we should adopt, the ifs and buts of security strategy in our metropolitan cities and Tier-2 cities. It sounds very technical. It sounds like rocket science, but when we go through the discussions, you will realize that each one of you has got some sort of exposure to it already. Basically, the security at the borders is taken care of by the security forces, basically the army, the BSF, the paramilitary forces, and so on and so forth. And similarly, in the cities, the metropolitan cities, the class 2 cities, the tier 2 cities, and even in the rural areas, it is basically the police force. And when required, the CISF and the other paramilitary forces, which are basically under the control of the Home Ministry. So how is it that this topic is relevant for us in the corporate security? That is the question of the debate which we have today. As security professionals, you must be wondering that we have our own Fortis, we have our own islands of excellence in our respective organizations. How do we get involved in such a scenario where we have to take care of the internal part of the security and the safety? There is a reason for it, and that is hidden in the topic itself, which we have, the ifs and buts of security. We have a lot of ifs and we have a lot of buts in the present scenario which we have. Basically, we have paucity of resources, we have lack of planning, we have lack of strategy, wherein due to limited resources, we often find ourselves pushed to the wall in terms of safety and security of our cities. So that is where we, as the corporate security, can pitch in. Basically, why? Because we are security professionals. We have the wherewithal, we have the intelligence, we can muster resources during emergencies. So that is where we can actually beef up the existing security. As I said, the security professionals that we are gives us a right to be thinking on these lines and also planning and, as and when required, supporting the police forces and the other security forces which are working day and night with their limited resources which they have. And also, you would have realized that the police force which we have today is basically a leftover, or I would say a carry forward of the British legacy which we had. It is more of a Danda police with very limited, I would say, strategy up their sleeves. Okay, so we as the corporate security guys can actually be the synergy between the corporate and the police forces, the internal security teams. We have two choices. One is to be a spectator, the way most of us generally feel that my organization, Nokia, is doing well, my premises are secured, my guys are safe, so I will have a peaceful meal and go to sleep in the night. That is one part. The second part is that I be an active part of the entire system which we have in our country and be the change which we want. So that is where we are going to deliberate upon. Today, we have a very, I would say, learned people in my team here who would be discussing the various facets of security and giving you their thoughts on how we as corporate security can pitch in. I would briefly request each of my participants here to take a minute and give you a brief introduction of oneself. Firstly, I would go in the same order as we sit. Jeetendra, he is working for Fortis. So we have a corporate medico guy sitting within us. So over to you, a brief introduction about yourself. Please pick up your mic and yeah.
Thank you, Colonel Rana, for calling me a corporate medico guy, whereas we are more of administration people, and you'll be surprised to note that I had given my 3 years to this facility. In total, worked in this industry for 24, 25 years, out of which 3 years I spent in this hotel. Practically all nook and corners of this hotel. And then I went on to join Fortis Healthcare Limited and joined them as head of security at one of their facility in South Delhi, located at Vasant Kunj. And then I moved on to raise the department at FMRI, which is Fortis Gurgaon, and been there for almost 12, 13 years before I shifted to Shalimar Bagh. And I'm there since last year or so. 16 years of time given to a particular industry teaches you a lot. I'm still learning from you all, and I'll be sharing my valuable or whatever, you call it, experience with you people.
Thank you. Thank you for the short and sweet introduction. Thank you for the round of applause. Over to you, Rishi.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rishi Choudhary. I'm heading security for Eros. We are an infrastructure company based out of Delhi, NCR. The Eros has a diverse business ranges, starting from cinema halls, shopping malls, shopping centers, residential colonies, hotels, and few more. Before Eros, I was with CBRE and JLL and had a short stint with Defense Forces as well. So I have a very diverse portfolio in a very short span, about 10 years of corporate experience from JLL, CBRE, and Eros. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rishi. Yeah. Over to you, Anchall.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Anchall Saxena. I'm representing Group 4 Solutions, Secure Solutions over here. I'll take the privilege of saying that I'm the youngest on the panel, as well as probably in this room as well. I've been working in the industry for the last 6 years now, and in the risk and the physical security domain. So very glad to be sitting here and discussing this very interesting topic. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anchal. Yeah, I think it's Punyasloka. Yeah.
Thank you,
we are meeting for the first time now. Okay.
My name is Punyasloka Panda. I'm part of working with Accenture since last 12 years. Prior to that, I was working with one of the largest banking corporations, that is HSBC. And prior to that, with the Indian Army, I had a short stint of around 7 years. It's almost 19 years into this industry and in this profile, looking into crisis management, business continuity, employee health and safety, corporate security, and many a times behavioral threats from employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Panda. You don't look that old that you have 20 years of experience in this. Okay. As the saying goes that a picture says 1,000 words and a video says 1,000,000. Just to get you up to speed of what the topic today is and give you a brief summary of what we are facing. So that was a metro city in the background, and it was actually a Rohit Shetty creation. But this creation can happen anytime, any place, anywhere. It has been happening in the past, and it will happen again. because of the ifs and buts which we are going to discuss today. So over to the panelists now. What do you think, Jeetendra, being part of, as I said, the corporate medico guy, what do you think is our role we can play in beefing up the security systems in our metro cities and tier 2 cities? And basically your role, I would say, would come after the incident happens. So since we are sitting in this fashion, we'll go in a reverse order. So you can actually update us of how you can pitch in once an incident like this happens and what is the strategy behind all that.
So I would like to remind the panel about 2008 Ahmedabad bomb blast cases. How many of you remember it? Raise your hand, please. Okay, fantastic. So what happened during the Ahmedabad bomb blast is when the victim were rushed to the civil hospital of Ahmedabad, there was another device which was pre-planted there and that went off. Now imagine the condition and chaos which existed there. I mean, medical chaps are treating those victims who were brought in. And whenever 5 or more patients are brought into your emergency, it creates a lot of pressure on your medical management systems. And then there's a bomb explosion. That leads to crowd and further chaos. So in that backdrop, I would like to give my input in this discussion. So 2008 till 2024, this 14, 15 years, or maybe 16 years, a lot of protocol and procedural changes have happened. The National Accreditation Board for Healthcare, this body has also brought in a lot of processes and procedural changes, the way hospital operate, and we categorize this kind of disaster as external disaster for the hospital, wherein victims, if they are brought into your emergency, a certain code is announced all over the facility, and all the senior management, irrespective of where they are, what point of time it is, they are informed about the incident, and every department, every functioning head rushes to the hospital. Mr. Harshvardhan spoke about crowd management in great details. So security then entrusted with the task of ensuring that the crowd management happens, and the medical team and paramedical team, they ensure that the triage is properly done, dead bodies are taken care of, medical evidences are recorded, preserved for further analysis that may lead to the conclusion of the case, and post that, ensure that a public information system is set up, so that this is also a part of crowd management, wherein you give information to the masses, you give information to the crowd which has gathered there, and people are not becoming anxious and reacting in a manner which can jeopardize the safe environment of hospital.
Thank you, Jeetendra. I'll go to the other flank of the people sitting here in the forum. So the thing is that we have soft targets in our cities. We have created soft targets. We have the airports, we have bus stands, we have railway stations. You just saw a few examples in the last presentation also, where a lot of crowd gathers together, which actually becomes a soft target for a terrorist strike like this, a miscreant strike like this, as was in the crowd management, what Dr. Harshvardhan also had narrated was that the crowd itself is a threat. So we have created cities where we have all these infrastructure, we have soft targets. A layman or a normal person sees a lot of prosperity and happiness and a lot of infrastructure all around. What does a security professional see? I, as a security professional, see a lot of soft targets, and I'm sure any miscreant also sees only soft targets in all these things. And it is all our metros and even tier 2 cities are actually I would say, a playing field for miscreants, be it a small-time criminal who does a pickpocketing or a chain snatching, to a full-time I am Mujahideen who comes up with chain bomb blast and all. So, what is it that we should aim at while discussing or coming up with a dynamic strategy for a holistic approach to safety and security in our cities? So, with the limited experience which we have, would you, Punyasloka, be able to address on this part, please?
Said was regarding the crowd and crowd being a soft target. One thing which, irrespective of the size of the city, either is a metro, a mega metro or a small tier 2 city, Mumbai, Delhi or Indore doesn't matter. What matters all is we have to do an efficient crowd management, how it started in this forum. Now, when I say crowd management, it is recognizing the crowd. If we see examples of large cities which are densely populated, however, the crime rates are very less in those cities. Example, Seoul, South Korea and Tokyo. And the reason why they have been so strong in their safety security part for the citizens was an extensive network of CCTV cameras. When I say extensive network, it is just not putting a camera, putting artificial intelligence to that camera, doing an advanced facial recognition system, advanced analytics in the crowd, which actually helps to identify the miscreants. This also helps to foresee what major problem can happen. Like we have been seeing few of our cities are being put on CCTV cameras and extensive networks are being done. However, a standalone system of CCTV or a surveillance system will not work. When I'm saying CCTV, I'm speaking about a surveillance system, electronic surveillance system. Say for example, there is a famous theory which goes is that a determined attacker can never be stopped. He or she can only be delayed. He or she can never be stopped. So if we have to do a vulnerability analysis of our city first by putting up CCTV cameras, by putting up all mitigation plans, but we cannot be 100% sure that there will be no attack. But once there is a scenario or an incident which was just shown on the video happens, what is our next course of action? Where do we take our injured? Where do we take our people who require medical help? Or where do we take our people who are marginalized? That's where the CCTV cameras, that's where the advanced drone systems will be working. Which is the route which is free to evacuate them to the nearest hospital? Which are the nearest hospitals? These things needs to be put and integrated into a surveillance system which speaks about healthcare systems, which speaks about traffic management, which speaks about the availability of law enforcement agencies in that particular area, particular place. It's like the concept of a smart city which we say. And this can be examples of integrated surveillance network can be seen in major cities which are far more bigger than any of the Indian metropolis. Tokyo, Seoul, Vancouver, these has been known world over for their extensive planning, putting a surveillance network for it. Second major issue which comes up in any tier 1 or tier 2 cities or metropolitan cities is rapid urbanization. And when I say rapid urbanization is happening without a necessary planning or without a necessary foresight to 30 years or 40 years. We can make a plan of Delhi to 2041 or Gurgaon 2030, but that never gets cascaded to the ground. We have a road where it has to go for an ambulance. On that same road, if there is an illegal diversion made, obviously there will be a delay for the ambulance and 10 more vehicles will be piling up.
I think the population it overtakes the infrastructure which we create. Every time we plan something, say with a perspective of 5 years, and by the time the plan is implemented, the population has already overshot that planning, and then we do a firefight again and do a crisis management, do ad hoc things like Shloka just said, a diversion is created, a new road is created, and the next time you go there, it is dug up because something else is going to. So we don't have a holistic plan, and that applies to everything and applies to the security scenario also. I'm sorry for cutting you short because I'm seeing at the time also, and I need Anchall also to speak on something. Okay, so Anchall is there. She works for Group 4 Security, and she would be able to highlight the risk management part because that is her forte. So, keeping in mind the risks which we have, as the population itself is a risk, and you have soft targets which I was just narrating a while ago. What, Anchal, is your view on what are the risks and how do we manage our risk in our metros? When I say metros, I also include the Tier 2 cities because if you see, if you look back about 20 years back, a city like Delhi was what Jaipur is today. So the risks are only just lesser in magnitude, but the risks generally are the same for Tier 2 cities as well as Tier 1 cities. Tier 1 cities, they have, I would say, a comparatively better police system. More focus is given to metros like Bombay, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore. So the risk is enhanced, so is the preparedness is slightly better than Class 2 cities, but overall, the risk remain the same, and the mitigation will also be the same. So over to Anchal to throw some light on this important aspect of the risks. What are the risks and how do you have a long-term strategy to manage them? Over to you, Anchal.
Thank you, sir. So whenever we start talking about physical security, sometimes what I feel, and generally in the organizations as well, we see that we sometimes avoid the word of risk management. We somehow know what are the risks, as rightly said by sir. We know the risks which are there. We know the threats to the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. But the problem which arises is that as an organization, or if I say for myself, representing a service provider, what we forget is to manage those risks in a better manner, so to say. If I talk about the Tier 1 cities, as rightly mentioned, we have been focusing on the risk of the Tier 1 cities like Mumbai, Delhi, and other of those. But if I talk about the Tier 2 cities, I was yesterday only reading about a study which says that the retail sector is now growing rapidly in the Tier 2 cities, Indore, Pune, Bhopal, and all those cities. And I can see a lot of security systems also being put into these cities, but the problem arises where we do not know where to put our system and how to integrate them and how to take advantage of the mitigations we are putting for our risks present over there. As a risk manager in the last 6 years, I think I have done the assessments, audits, and many other, kind of services to these cities. The major risk which arises are in the physical security domain, if I have to say, is the so to say the cyber security is there, the terrorism which is there in the Tier 1 cities, and in the Tier 2 cities we generally see smaller threats like theft or maybe vandalism or money laundering is happening. The major issue, as I said, arises that we as an organization, whether it's a corporate security or a service provider, we do not kind of assess the risk rightly, and sometimes we are managing a risk which is not at all present to us, and sometimes we are ignoring the higher risks which are very, very much present to your organization, say in the healthcare or in the manufacturing or any other industry. So if I talk about the risk management as a vertical, I think when we talk about physical security or cyber security, we should be more focusing more on the risk management as well as in see how we can take those risks in a better manner, whether you have the appetite, whether you can avoid it or you can accept it. The organization and we as the security professional should pay more focus on that. And as a service provider, we need to train our manpower, we need to train our guard force because as rightly said, the population is on rise. We all know that the police and the public ratio is anyway very, drastically very bad for us. So we as a service provider, as a corporate security people, we need to fill in the gap and do a better risk management so that the physical security is much more enhanced in the tier 1 and the tier 2, both the scenarios. Yeah.
Thank you, Anchal. Well said. So I believe that about say 80 to 90% of you guys sitting here would be security professionals. So question which I was, in fact, a point which I was discussing with Rishi on the sidelines was, what do we sell to the corporate? Anyone, what do we sell? Do we sell the security plans or something else? Because the moment you start selling security, you don't get budget for it. And the security starts at the security guard and ends there. The moment you have a security guard standing or you have a few security guards standing in your office, the management is happy that we are good and we are in good hands, we are well secured. And the moment you have a surveillance camera, it is ultimate security. So that is where I think after about 16, 17 years in the corporate and almost the same time in the army, I feel that our approach to security needs to be changed as security professionals. We need to sell risk. We need to scare the management and show them the clips like the one which I just showed you to psych you into security, so that they ask you for security and you tell them, if you don't get secured, this is what happens. So when I go to Rishi, I would put a direct question to him, that what are the ifs and buts in the present scenario, to say what are the limitations which we have as far as the security and safety scenario in our cities is present. What are the limitations, what are the challenges, and does he have any, I would say, strategic points or plan which can foster or better the security scenario which we have in our country, in our cities? Over to you, Rishi.
Thank you, Colonel Shakti sir. So, cities are made of organizations, residential societies, the factories or the entities running the business. So once these entities are secured, a city can be more aware of the security threats. So over the past few years, the rising threat of terror attacks, natural disasters, or incidents happening in the cities, we can take an example of Chennai floods, Mumbai attack, or COVID outbreak. COVID outbreak actually revealed the strategic part, the business continuity plan. Every organization has revamped their business continuity plan after COVID. And I'm not shy to say some of the organizations are still struggling to get back to their pre-COVID situations. The damage can be mitigated with few of the things which, if we can do at our organizational level part, physical threats can lead to huge financial losses, reputation damage, and legal proceedings. Today, it is critical for all organizations to maintain situational awareness of potential physical incidents and take the necessary steps to prevent them and protect the employees and business assets. We as security directors, CSOs, security professionals, the responsibility lies on us to have a word with our management, our business owners, to make more stringent plans, more stringent security measures to protect asset and human life. Thankfully, after many incidents, the business owners has started realizing the importance of physical security in their domain. Initially, it was 3Z: gates, guards, and if the security is not being done by gate and guard, put a gun. This was the security. So now paradigm has changed. We are into a very fast-paced security. We are adopting very high-end security tools and tackles to protect our sites. So about 45% of the organizations in India are conducting quarterly security assessments. Only 2% are doing monthly assessments, and rest, about 50%, has never done a security assessment. We as security professionals should have a word with our management to get the security assessment done, get the lacuna, we can find out the lacunas, and we can have a mitigation plan. Now, security professionals has more power. Initially, security department, even I'm sure most of us will agree that most of the organizations treat our security domain as any other department like HR or admin. We are just a department, but we cannot act as an admin department or any other department. Our job is different. So budget has been a big constraint because we are not able to convince our management to spare more budgets. Once we are able to convince them for budgets, like Colonel Shakti sir said, if we can show them, sell them the threats. We are actually selling them security. We should sell the threat. The video which has been shown to all of us can, like such videos, incidents, accidents, or threat perceptions can be brought into the notice of the business owners.
Thank you, Rishi. In the interest of time, I can see the red flag already there for the last 2-3 minutes. I would actually request BW to give some more time for such debates so we can come to a meaningful conclusion. For the sake of the youngsters, basically, I will not be able to advise my counterparts and more knowledgeable people. For the sake of the youngsters who are sitting at the back benches, the carry away from this debate, I would put a one-liner that we need a holistic, dynamic, and a long-term strategy to be able to beef up the security systems which we see around in our cities. And each word of this should be noted by the youngsters as a holistic, dynamic, and a continuous, structured strategy. You cannot have one strategy today and you don't revisit that strategy every month, I would say, because the situation outside is very, very dynamic. And if you have a secured city like Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, where I would say about 4 to 5% of India lives. The total population of India is about 1.4 billion, and out of this, every 100th person is actually living in Delhi. The population of Delhi is about 1.3 crores. So 1% of India lives in Delhi. You secure Delhi, you secure 1% of India, and you secure 5 metros, you've secured 5% of India. So as security professionals, I would advise that we need to open our horizon and see how we can be part of the solution and how we can beef up the safety and security scenarios in our country, in our cities. I was reading somewhere that the total manpower of Delhi police is about 80,000. I may stand corrected if somebody's got a better data on this. So just imagine 80,000 police people not adequately trained or equipped, managing a population of 1.3 crores. And definitely that is where we as corporate security guys can pitch in. Any last minute comments from anyone in the forum here? I would love to address them, please. Conclude the session. I would like to take back you all guys to my childhood. We had a class, in case you remember, a moral science class in our timetables as primary school or maybe up to a high school. I remember having a moral science period at least once in our this thing, and that has stood the test of time, and it has given me the ethics and compliances part. So this thought came to me that why not have a security and safety class for our children, so that right from the grooming itself, they know what are the threats and what is expected out of them, and how they can be better citizens to be able to have I would say, to be able to be part of the security system when they grow up. Why not have a class or at least a 40-minute period, say up to class 10th? And so I leave this as a thought you can mull over. And thank you. You were an excellent audience, and thank you for this opportunity, BW World. And I look forward to more such interactions with you all. Have a nice day. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.